watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
All right, welcome back to Capitol View. I'm David Goins. We are joined this morning. Our guest is the soon-to-be senior senator from the state of Arkansas, Senator John Boozman, former congressman, of course. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks as always, David, for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get to this lame duck session that started, Monday, essentially.
Yes.
The big attention grabber was, a spending bill.
Right.
Is that essentially what this session was about? What's kind of your takeaways from what you've seen so far?
It is. Sadly, we're in a situation now that the federal government's budget started in October. Here we are into December, almost to the first of the year, and we still haven't decided how the money's going to be spent. So we've simply got to do that. And so we're working really hard to try and get that done.
Okay, so the proposal right now basically would fund the government. Does it go all the way through September 30th of next year, or is it just to September 1st?
That's really what the discussion is about right now. Mm-hmm. The idea would be they're calling it a cromnibus.
Excuse me,
a
what?
Cromnibus.
Explain that to me.
Well, the CR part of it, the CR part, would make it such that Homeland Security would only be funded for a couple of months. Mm-hmm. Now, that goes back to the president's immigration order. Right. And certainly I'm upset about that. Republicans are upset. Many Democrats are upset about that. So you'd only fund Homeland Security for a couple of months, and then the rest of it, the omnibus package, that's all of the spending bills stuck together. The rest of government, it would go ahead and fund the entire fiscal year. Through
September 30th.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you said you're upset about it, and some Democrats are as well. It's not unprecedented for a president to do what the president has done with immigration. Why is this particular executive action so politically toxic?
Well, it really is. It is unprecedented in the sense that President Bush did this, the senior President Bush, mm-hmm. Okay, but the numbers were much, much smaller. And he did it in an effort to cover a loophole, an unintended loophole of a bill that Congress had actually passed. This is not that at all. I mean, this is simply saying, Congress, I'm tired of waiting for you to pass a bill. Not only pass a bill, but the bill that I want, so I'm going to do it myself. And so that's really where it comes. I think it's just a huge increase in presidential authority. I think it's a terrible precedent. I think it's unconstitutional, but I think it's also a terrible precedent in the sense that, whether you're dealing with a Republican president or a Democrat president in the future.
I mean, a lot of people have said this is going to be a reason why immigration doesn't go anywhere in the House. Could it be a catalyst for getting something done, if not comprehensive, perhaps narrow in scope?
No, I think if the president hadn't done it, he would be in better shape in the sense of trying to get something done. But the suggestions that I hear, the suggestions I like, are piecemealing it, doing the border, because if you don't do the border, if you don't make the border secure, then whatever you decide on, you're going to be in the same position that we're in now in a few years. Okay, people are going to continue to come across, regardless of whatever situation you do, and then you're going to have many people that are here illegally. Mm-hmm. So you secure the border. I personally would like to see this worked out in a situation of a visa, looking at industries that need workers, things like that, and then trying to go about that path.
I guess the big question still, and this is kind of what the president alluded to, is what do you do with everyone who's been here for an extended period of time, many of them who live in the state of Arkansas? What's your suggestion?
Well, you don't just, you just don't automatically say that you're here. The problem is, we're talking about 11 million people. There's 5 million people in line. And then the other thing that we don't talk enough about is we naturalize around 1 million people every year. Mm-hmm. We naturalize more people than the entire rest of the world put together. So we're very, very good at assimilating people. But there is a finite amount that you can do. And the problem is, if you make it such that leads to citizenship, then you're not only talking about 11 million people, you're talking about the ability to bring in an extended family. And you get up around 20 million people very, very quickly. With benefits we're going to be paying. Right now, as a senator, I'm struggling to find the benefits, the money for the benefits that we've committed to our citizens. Mm-hmm. So the other thing you have to do is you have to protect the American worker. And when you dump 5 million people or 11 million people into the system, and make it such that they've got a green card and a work permit.
But aren't a lot of those people already working? I mean, that kind of the argument, if you took these people out of the country, it would have a negative impact on Arkansas's economy.
I don't know if they are or not, but the reality is the studies show that if all of a sudden, you give them a for real, green card or whatever, work permit, then it really is going to affect those that they're competing against as far as the lower skilled wage earners.
Okay. And
unemployment in many of those sectors already, unemployment in the minority communities are very, very high right now.
Well, let me ask you kind of a variation on this topic since we're talking about immigration. When we go back to the Senate bill that was passed in 2013, I think it had 68 yes votes. 14 of your Republican colleagues voted for it, and you didn't. What needed to be in that bill that wasn't, that would perhaps get your support, or vice versa? What was in it that went too far?
Well, I think that bill is a path to citizenship and amnesty, and I'm very much opposed to that. Again, I'd like to get it worked out through a visa system. And you're right, many of the people that are here are working, okay? And they are in jobs that we need people working. Agriculture, is a huge issue for our farmers. And so, you get them squared away through a visa program. But you really do have to secure the border and do those things. I think the fear that I would have, the biggest fear, would be, you start doing some of these things, but all of these promises were made when Reagan did this,
right.
many years
86.
ago, and they simply weren't done. The amnesty part was granted, but there was no. The other piece of this is you have to hold employers accountable. For if they are hiring people, they shouldn't be hiring. So you have to secure the border, which he wanted to do, promised to do. It wasn't done. And then there was no holding employers accountable. If you don't do that piece, and you do that through E-Verify, you don't make the business owner the immigration agent. They need a very simple system. But they need to follow that simple system, or we need to get after them.
Got a few more questions on this topic. Do you want to stick around for another segment?
Sure.
Okay, very good. We're here with Senator John Boozman. We'll be back a little bit more. We'll talk more about the immigration issue and also what the new session of Congress will look like in January. I'm David Goins. You have